back to another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer, and in today's episode we're going to discuss games based on the character Toro Inoue. So, before we get started, here's a little bit of background information about the character of Toro Inoue himself.
Alright, now this is coming directly from Wikipedia. Toro Inoue is also known as the Sony Cat, is a fictional character created by Sony Interactive Entertainment. He is an anthropomorphized cat who behaves mostly like a human in order to become a human. And we're going to talk about his very first game, and that is Doko Demo Issyo. Now, he is a white Japanese bobtail cat of the chibi design style. He's characterized by his big trapezoid-shaped head, a rectangular-shaped body, and its vast variety of face expressions. Toro's name originated from the sushi chef that adopted him after he got abandoned. And there's a whole story behind his life story that you can read about online, and it actually is detailed a little bit more in future games. So Toro's main goal is that he wants to become human, or live as a human. He's usually presented as the main character in most of these games. He is pure and childish in nature, and even though he is a grown up, and he wants to know all about the world. Other terms that people have used to describe him are naive, kind-hearted. He tends to be very intimate with the player. You really will get to know him very well, and he has no qualms about asking you very personal questions. But unlike some of the other characters, he does tend to get depressed pretty easily. Unfortunately, Sony doesn't really give out a lot of information to us in the West about Toro. The only way I found out about him is because my daughter told me, and my daughter loves Japanese culture and Japanese everything, so she's the one that introduced me to the character himself. Like any other self-respecting game company, Sony did market the heck out of Toro. Unfortunately, the plushies, which is what many people collect, are kind of exorbitant, as you can see from these prices on eBay. As the years pass by, more and more people in the West have discovered Toro Inoue, or Sony Cat, whichever you prefer, and Sony actually listened, as they did release a mobile game a couple years ago, right before the pandemic, that was available worldwide. Unfortunately, that game has been discontinued. And as of this writing in 2023, there have not been any new Toro Inoue games.
Now, there were several games based on this character or starring the character of Toro himself. But today we're going to focus on the first game, and that was Doko Demo Issyo. And we're going to look at the original PlayStation 1 version. So, let's get started.
Okay, Doko Demo Issyo was released in July 22nd, 1999 in Japan. It was published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PS1, as I said already. So, let's begin, and I'm going to show you exactly how you go about playing this game if you happen to be here in America, and what it requires.
Alright, so I'm going to tell you all the things that you need in order to play Doko Demo Issyo. Alright, first off, PS1. You need a real PS1 because the game itself doesn't work on emulation, which I'll discuss in a moment. And because I am in North America and this is a Japanese game, you need one of these things here in order to play foreign games, and you need an actual disc of the game. You need the original. You cannot play it on emulation. It's got a copy protection in it, so you have to get the original. I got it on eBay for like $15 with shipping. It came with all the goodies, documentation, and most importantly, you need the Pocket Station. You cannot use a regular memory card for this. You must have the Pocket Station. And this was not made in America. It was only made in Japan. I got one for $25, which was about the cheapest I could find. It's used, but it works great. Okay? So, all these things are needed in order to play Doko Demo Issyo. So, Okay, I'm going to start the game up and show you how to do it. My PlayStation, just grab my controller here. Alright, you see I've already got the mod chip in the back. So, get the game in. Start it up. Now you see on the screen that it gives you this message. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start it. Boot CD. Play. Now I was going to say press play on tape. Just ignore that. Game will start up here in just a second. Okay, so it's starting up. Now, as I'd said, you do need to have the Pocket Station in order to play the game. You absolutely must have it. But it only gives you the option to create a new character. And that's because I haven't put the Pocket Station in yet. Putting the Pocket Station in is a little bit trickier than putting in your normal run-of-the-mill memory card, because you don't put it all the way in. You kind of got to finagle it a little bit, which I'm going to do, and then I'll come back and show you how the screen changes and what happens. So just give me a second. See, now I have that other option to load it right off of there, so I'm going to do that. Now, in most PS1 games, you usually push the X button. Let me turn this down just a little bit, but in this game, the circle button does most of the work. So I've been playing this now, as I showed you in the other video. I've been playing this for a while now. It's loading. But I've been playing this for a while now. You can see how it's running right there.
Alright, when the game starts up, you'll have the option to create a character or to continue a character. And again, you have to have the Pocket Station inserted properly for that to pop up. So if it doesn't work, just finagle it, move it around a little bit, and eventually it will. And of course, for this demo, I'm going to play with Toro himself. Now, next up, you have to name the character. I just kept it with Toro, which if you use Google Translate, you'll see that the symbols they give you are Toro. Now, if you move to the right, you can get Roman alphabet numbers, which is good for later on in the game, and basically for now if you do plan on giving them another name. After that, you add your own information. They ask for your name, your date of birth, and if you're male, female, your blood type, phone number. I don't know why. I suspect it may have had something to do with some online stuff that was probably exclusive to Japan, but I'm not sure. And of course, I'm not going to show you that. But then after that, the game starts. Now, you'll see this screen pop up a couple of different times throughout the game for you to input data when you're playing with Toro. Now, when the game starts up, you will see Toro come into his studio apartment, and he'll start talking to you. Then, that's when the fun starts. You get to play, not really some games, I don't think, in this particular version, but what you're doing is you're teaching Toro human words. Now, as I said, you can input Roman numerals, unless you happen to be watching this and you speak Japanese and read Japanese, then it's no problem. Now, the big question that people are going to ask is, what do I do if I don't speak or read a word of Japanese? And the best way to do that is to use Google Translate on your phone. All you have to do is point it at the screen, turn on the camera, and line it up, which can be kind of a pain sometimes, but you'll be able to see exactly what he's asking and what you're going to input. Now, I know in some games that were not localized, that were created by Japanese companies, either got a translation or somebody went through and patched the game. This game would be impossible to patch because of the fact that a lot of it depends on your own input. So luckily, you can teach him words in English and then use the translator on Google to figure out what he's asking or what you're telling him. Aside from teaching him new words, you can give him gifts if you like. Mostly these are food items, and they will arrive, and then he eats them, and then throws them away, or depending on what he gets, what you give him. I always like giving him noodles because it's really fun to watch him use the chopsticks and stuff. Another interesting thing is that he will start using the words that you teach him in dialogue. Because remember, he wants to be able to pass as a human, so he's relying on you to teach him as much about being a human as possible. Another interesting aspect is that he teaches you some stuff about Japanese culture. Now, if you happen to be Japanese, a lot of this stuff won't won't be new to you, but for those of us here in the West, it's really interesting to learn about different festivals and traditions in Japan that we basically wouldn't learn anywhere else. Before you exit the game, you'll notice that he pretty much takes care of himself on other aspects. He'll eat and drink, play video games, turn on the stereo, and go to the bathroom. Now, when you are tired of the game and you decide that you're done, you save it, and then you've got more stuff to do outside of the game. Now, Toro is saved onto your pocket station, and you play with him like a Tamagotchi. You can teach him new stuff, words sometimes on here, and you can just watch him do stuff. Basically, it's important that you interact with him a couple times a day, as like a Tamagotchi. If you don't play with it or have anything to do with it, eventually it leaves, and the same applies here to Toro. And every time that you play the game again, you'll notice that more stuff has been added to the wall in the apartment, and he'll ask you questions about different things. And he seems to pick up more and more words, and he gets his confidence level up. And so that is pretty much the premise of the game, is that you are trying to help Toro Inoue become as human as possible. And like all good things, it must eventually come to an end. It'll get to the point where Toro feels like he's learned enough, and he will leave the apartment and will head out into the world to apply all the skills that you've taught him. And when you are done with Toro, you may decide to play with some of his other friends, as there are several different characters, or Pokepi, which means pocket people, on this game. You have R. Suzuki, the robot, a brilliant four-faced robot, knows a lot about things and desires to know more about the player. Very sincere and proper in his mannerisms. And again, I'm getting this off the Doko Demo fandom wiki. The next one, Jun Mihara, a wanderlust traveler, a young pink bunny who is modern in her approach to life, likes to talk about love and pop culture. Ricky, a strong frog who wants to become stronger, likes to travel the world and knows a lot about history. He tends to remain angry for a while when he is irritated by the player. And finally, Pierre Yamamoto, the maiden dog who wants to become independent, obsessed with French culture and tends to be sentimental. Knows about various personality tests and fortune tellings and subjects adjacent to them. What makes this game stand out from other life simulation games I've talked about in the past is that it has a definite end goal. Your goal is to help them to achieve their goals. Like I said with Toro, he wants to be as human as possible, and when he has completed those tasks, he will leave you a goodbye note and abandon the apartment. So that's, again, what sets it apart from The Sims and like later Little Computer People, is that this has a definite ending. So in closing, I'd like to say that this game is really worth all the effort that you put into playing it. However, if you are not interested in getting a pocket station and a mod and all that stuff, there is another way you can play this game.
Now, the game Doko Demo Issyo was actually remade for the PSP. Of course, also only released in Japan. But in this version, you didn't need the pocket station. It was all done on the PSP itself. And it's pretty much identical game. The graphics have been cleaned up a little bit, but in effect, in essence, it's still the same game.
In our next episode, we're going to take a break from our life simulation games and look at adver games. And this one, we will focus on games based on McDonald's.
That brings this episode of Classic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload new episodes. Also, check out our Patreon. We got some great stuff on Patreon that you're not going to find anywhere else. And including, within about the next week or so, I'm going to have some adult games on there. Ones, of course, that I would not put on this regular channel because we have families watch this, but you get the point. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please check out our Patreon page. It doesn't matter what level of patron you are, you will still get access to all the same stuff. So please be generous and help us out. It would be greatly appreciated. Well, until next time, I am Anthony Gamer. Wishing you all a great week and a happy 4th of July. Until next time, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. See you soon. Bye for now.